Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
My name's May Rafraf. I'm 23 years old now. I was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia when I was about 4.5, so that puts me 19 years in the hospital system now.
My name is Michelle Ibrahim. I'm 17 years old and I have a chronic illness. I was diagnosed when I was about 13 and I've been in hospital at least once or twice a year for the past 5 or 6 years.
My name is Jeremy. I was diagnosed with cancer on my 16th birthday back in 2004. I was diagnosed with an aggressive osteosarcoma.
My name is Carly Polglaze and I've been coming to hospital since I was about 3. I have cystic fibrosis.
I had an experience in the Children's Hospital that lasted for about 18 months, having chemotherapy followed by an operation that took the tumour out of my leg and actually removed all of my bones and replaced them with titanium rods that enabled me to keep my leg instead of having it amputated.
Sickle cell is really unpredictable and it can be quite painful at times, so my experiences in hospital are usually traumatic.
I couldn't imagine how horrible it was going to be at the time when I was first diagnosed. It completely interrupted our lives. The only word that we've ever been able to use to describe it is horrific.
How was Melbourne?
It was really good. I went and saw the Disney exhibition.
Being in hospital as a teenager is quite difficult in terms of having to deal with school and trying to get better, and then with having to keep up somewhat of a social life.
Hi Michelle. Being an adolescent in hospital, I found that you feel quite isolated because you're taken away from your family and your peers, so you feel very cut out of real life.
Can I please get lemon lime bitter?
At the time I was trying to build my independence from my parents, and suddenly I was thrust back into a situation where I had to depend completely on them and on clinicians and everyone like that.
Your control and your independence is taken away from you completely. Doctors and nurses and physios and every other clinician always just come in and talk to you whenever they want to. You have no privacy. You go from being a person to just kind of like a thing.
I was trying to rebel and not be so dependent on my parents, and because the doctors come in and they speak to your parents where you're lying in the bed and you're like, I know exactly what you're saying and I know how I'm feeling and stuff, and you want the doctor to speak to you.
Clinicians need to realise that being a teenager just doesn't mean that we'll just go with any kind of treatment. Whenever they suggest a new medication, I'll jump straight on the internet and try and find different side effects that will show.
So you're not prepared?
It's really hard to organise my timetable.
Sometimes I wish that doctors would give more of an opportunity to have an input.
I believe that the patient has the right to decide what's going to happen to them.
Like when decisions are made, informing you properly so that you can discuss it rather than this is how it's going to happen, this is what we have to do, you're just going to accept it.
I've been sick for 19 years. I've learnt what were you doing 19 years ago, and that's what, you know, you need to respect that this person knows their body and they've been in this situation before.
I experienced a lot of problems with doctors thinking that they knew better than myself about what my treatment should involve, and not listening to my concerns or my knowledge of how I'd responded to things in the past, which would often cause problems when they'd subject me to something that I knew wouldn't work or would have negative consequences for me.
It was good, it's good. It was something I've always wanted to do, you know that. So.
I think active listening is something that really needs to be worked on from the patient and the clinician. Even though that they're an adolescent and you might think that this is above them and they might not grasp it, but you need to give them that chance.
As an adolescent, as opposed to a child, I understand more what's happening to me. I can be more involved in the decision-making process about my treatment.
Coming into hospital and having your independence taken away from you, it's at the worst stage of your life to have that done, so it's very important that we're given an opportunity to have an input.
The staff members that I got to interact with, most of them were absolutely fantastic. The nurses especially and my oncologist, I found them all to be so compassionate and realistic about what I needed. When they could, they tried to include me in my treatment.
When you get those doctors that do the active listening and they speak to you and they take in your point of view and how you're feeling and what do you think needs to happen, when there's that give and take, you feel a whole lot more comfortable and you realise that you're going to play an active role in how you get better.
Okay, very good. Nothing to worry about.
The one bit of advice that I would give to medical people working with adolescents is that try and approach it with a holistic approach. Don't just look at us as a number or a medical condition. Like everyone is an individual, and especially at that stage in life where you're developing into who you want to be, it's really important to have that acknowledged.
Although we might not have the scientific or the medical background knowledge that the doctors have, we have the personal knowledge of what might suit us best.
In a children's hospital, the staff are used to catering for children. Children and adolescents, I think, are exceptionally different in how they deal with problems. So giving them any power where you can in decision-making processes or just explaining something to them in proper, mature language can make such a difference. It can make a horrible day seem so much better.
There you are.